Welcome back to the Manor. Julian McBain here, and today we are back to hunting Motorhead Guards. Because they're fun to hunt. So why not? And we'll put out a pet so that we can keep leveling that. So, before we get too far in, I have a special request. See, I've got a fellow YouTuber who he and I used to be neck and neck, and then I made my catastrophic mistake of changing up how I do content at the beginning of the year, and it set me back. It set me back, and that's on me, right? That's on me. But it was really fun being neck and neck with Scotty C93. I thought it was a great time. We passed each other a couple times. But during the time period where I was doing the podcast, which I think was a good idea but should not have been done on this channel, I'm actually contemplating how to bring it back. And I might do that like as a weekly or something like that, use a different channel. What I'd like to do is I'd like to bring that competition because I firmly believe if him and I ever meet, and I haven't spoken to him about this. Scotty, if you're watching this, because I know occasionally you drop it on my vids, you know, who buys the first round? Is it the one who has the lower number of subs or the higher number of subs? Now, I've always thought that if I had the higher number of subs, I would buy the first round. And for most of the last 2 years before 2021, the difference between us has not been large. We're talking like no more than maybe 10 or 15 subs on the extreme difference between our two channels. Pretty much within a few months of him getting started, he got a really good subscriber base. And so if you're new to my channel and you like what I do, I am going to ask you to hit that subscribe button if you have not done so yet. Help me catch up to my buddy Scotty so I have a chance to buy him the first round if and or when we finally meet. Okay, so I want to talk about Motorhead Guards for a second. I want to talk about, it has been a long time since I've done at level grinding, and I forgot how much fun it can be because it's a challenge, right? When I was dealing with all of those kafas on Toulon, it's all low level stuff. You don't really pay attention. And even these guys, to a certain extent, are a bit low level for me. Now, part of it's because my evade is dramatically higher than it was from what it was when I was doing it the first time. And part of that's, a big chunk of that's due to the codex, of course. You know, I've been focused on hit points and evade on my codex grinds, which unfortunately Entropia has not yet gotten the codex, although I hear in the last partner VU, which happened very recently, both Cyrene and Monria. Was it Monria? No. Next Island. Both Cyrene and Next Island got their codex updates. So I'm really anxious to see Entropia get it. I think that Entropia has a lot of good on it. And, you know, it's kind of sad that I never gave it the chance before. I still stand by the whole, you know, why would I want to come back to the 80s? Because I actually lived through it and once was enough. But at the same time, I am enjoying my time here on Entropia. I love going to the oil fields. I really do. I really wish that every planet had an oil field, but I totally understand why they don't. I also like the fact that this place has a goddamn beer lake. Like, that right there is... I don't know why Never Die doesn't advertise on all planets. Come to Entropia, we have a lake of fucking beer. And you can pick them up by the keg. I mean, that right there is Entropia's best selling point. The other good thing about it is it's basically GTA Entropia. Like, let's be facing it. This is, in a lot of ways, Grand Theft Auto Entropia. You can apparently there's even a way to clep cars. You can get a Slim Jim and clep cars, which I gotta try at some point because that sounds like a blast. And there's also very unique storyline type quest grinds. One of which is one I'm going to be getting into possibly this, if not on Wednesday's video, it'll probably be for next Sunday's video. I'll be looking into, my plan is to look into how to get into the prison. Because I know there's a way. I mean, of course there's a way to get into prison. You have to commit a crime, but it's a very specific quest chain to get into the prison. Now, I've been told it's an upper level quest chain, but everyone's perception of what high level is in this game, on this platform, is different, right? You know, I'm level 40, what am I, 45? 46? What's my level? Oh, wrong one. 47. Oh, wow, I'm 47. I'm level 47, so I'm almost halfway to Uber, right? Which, that's 3 years of hard grind to get halfway to Uber. Right, because Uber is to have a hit profession that is at level 100. And to be fair, that is a huge investment in my avatar. Like, I have dumped lots of time. I've depoted quite a bit, especially when compared to what the average player would, because I run my channel off of it. To me, this is an investment. And so because it's an investment, I'm willing to put that outlay. You know, not an investment in the stocks and bonds sense, but it's a business. It's basically a business. Not basically, it is a business. Me playing this game is a business for me, which is why I'm willing to do what I do the way I do. For a lot of people, and the majority of people who play this game, this is not a business. This is something they do for fun. And I too play this game for fun. But I also have a business based on the game, if that makes sense. And there are a lot of people who have run businesses within Entropia Universe. And we're not just talking about people like big industries. There are people who own shops or lands, and shop owners will tell you, if you have a shop, you're pretty much tied to whatever planet that shop's on. Which shocked the hell out of me, but I can totally see why. Because if you want to keep customers coming, you have to put the work in. You got to craft the goods. You got to stock the shelves. It's just like owning a store in real life. You might be able to get away with spending a day or two away, but you better really stock those shelves if you want to do so. And if you're good at marketing and you got a lot of customers, then you're going to have a lot of ped turnover. You're going to keep cycling that ped through. You're going to be making a decent profit, at least for microtransactions. And that means you need to be able to restock your shelves. And that was something I never really thought about. Like, one thing that my son wants to do is he wants to build a shop, have a shop in Entropia. At least until I showed him how much a shop fee tends to cost on the auction house. But his idea is to build a store up and have the goods and craft things and shit like that. It's good for him, right? Good for him. He can absolutely do it if he, did the grind. And but it's a grind, and it's a long grind, and you have to be willing to accept that long grind. And if you need to do it non-depot, it's an even longer grind, because your best bet is to either A, do a sweat grind, which is just a nightmare. Although I respect the people who do it. I absolutely do. Having been in the sweat circles, like at Club Royal or at Boreas, it's a grind, but you find good people there, and a lot of them are just there to hang out and chat, and they sweat for the extra, packs. Get a couple extra ped here or there, just hang out, and they chat, and it's chill, and that's all cool. Personally, I prefer hunting. But the idea is, like, he could go to an oil field, pick up oil all day long, sell the oil. He could even sell it in the sell the oil, save up the ped. When you have enough ped, you go to the auction, you buy yourself your shop, which, yes, I know would probably take him a decade to get there, but he's got time, he's young. and then, or actually the smarter thing would be use those PED to buy deeds or shares that would generate the passive income that you could then use to purchase the heretofore mentioned shop, or even an apartment that you could turn into a shop, because apartment deeds can be turned into shops. Jesus Christ, it's like fighting the orcs in Warhammer 40k. Oh, train of thought. Oh. And I mean, that's the way to do it, in my opinion. You know, I've spent a lot of time in game. I've done a lot of hunting. I've depoted a lot. I've built my channel up. Why would you go after the guy? Oh, whatever. And that's one way to be really successful in Entropia Universe. And I don't think I'm not super successful, right? But I've done well for myself within the context of Entropia Universe. You know, I'm not as successful as some of the other content creators. My favorite content creators are vastly better than I am, more successful than I am. Bonnie, Serial Overdrive. Back when he was doing it, Lore Spade was a very successful EU content creator. Raven Jade was awesome. I wish she would create more content, although it might just be that she's getting buried on my notifications, because I notice I'm getting a lot of them lately. And then Scotty. And actually, out of all the Entropia content creators, the two that I've watched the most lately are Scotty and Bonnie. You know, all of them are more successful than I am. And no, I'm not mad about it. I think that's great. And it shows me where I can go with it. This is where I can get to if I just persist. And the same is true for him, and the same is true for everyone else. I was watching the Timcast IRL podcast the other day. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. And they had a couple artists on there. And one of them, who makes some really surreal art, right? He's a fantastic artist. He can really make you think about things viscerally with his art, right? They're very deliberately creepy, or horrifying, or they evoke that primal reaction. And they're designed to. His name is G Prime. I think it's G Prime 85 is his handle. And one of the things he said is he's a fan of the 10,000 hour rule. And after he mentioned it, I realized that it's fundamentally correct. What the 10,000 hour rule says is, if you want to be good at something, do it for 10,000 hours. And he says he has younger artists approach him because he only, like, quote unquote, made it in the last 2 years. And I think he's my age-ish. So somewhere in his 30s, I'm sure. You know, first generation American, son to an immigrant family. And he goes, 10,000 hours. If you do a thing for 10,000 hours, then you really know how to do the thing. And I thought back to all of the things that I do and have done. Right? So, I am a finance guy. You all know I'm a finance guy. I work with money. I have been doing it for, let's see, I started in 12, so this will be, I'm going into my 10th year. I'll be 9 full years in, no. What's today's date? In a week, I'll have been doing this for 9 full years. I'll have been a money guy for 9 full years. I've worked in banking. I've worked in insurance. I've worked with investments. I've worked with people from all walks of life, from people who didn't have a pot to piss in to people who had far more money than I could ever expect to manage to earn. I once sat across from a guy who had $72 million that I knew he had because he had just received a check because he sold his business. A business that he had spent most of his life building, he retired. you know, and throughout all of that, learning what people need to do throughout each step in their lives, figuring out when and where to implement certain strategies, because strategies that you need when you are poor are vastly different from those you need than when you are wealthy. And when you're in the middle class or somewhere in between, the strategies are all different. Understanding when to implement them is very important, and it took a long time for me to figure out. Well, I was thinking about it, and if I remember correctly, if you're working full-time, 52 weeks a year, I think you work something like 2,000 hours a year. Let me verify that. Let me fact check myself on that. So if you're working 50 weeks a year, because you get 2 weeks vacation on average, right? Times, where's my, you know what, we'll just do this. 40 hours a week, that's exactly 2,000 hours a year. So after 5 years, approximately, you've hit 10,000 hours. Now, I'm going to allow for some decay and say it takes probably 6 to 7 years to really pull in those hours working full-time, because there's going to be inefficiencies, there's going to be downtime, there's going to be, you know, you earn extra PT over time, but even then, you know, 7 years was the length of an apprenticeship. So it's completely not surprising that 10,000 hours is a good marker. And so what he suggested is, if you want to get good at something, do it. Just do it. 10,000 hours. How many hours have you put in today trying to learn how to, or practicing doing the thing that you want to do? And I thought about it. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. I never categorize, and it's just like the Entropia Grind. It is 100% like the Entropia Grind, and I've said over and over again, Entropia Universe is simply a digitalization or a simulation of real life, but, you know, with monsters. And frankly speaking, I can't think of a better way to make real life more fun. But, and it's just brilliant because you do. You know, I haven't been able to enumerate how many hours I've been fencing, but I know it's less than 10,000. But you know who becomes a master of defense? The people who get up every morning and they stab at their wall for an hour. And they do it day after day after day after day with no excuses. Or they practice their forms, or they practice the circle, or they get out there and they do the thing. People who are great at target shooting, they burn ammo day after day after day, and they're just shooting at targets all the time. You know, this is why our soldiers are so good, because the infantry get up, they grab their rifle, and they go out and do exercises day in and day out. 2,000 hours a year, 10,000 hours in 5 years. And that's when we're not at war. So, all of this makes perfect sense to me. All of this makes perfect sense. And the same can be true of Entropia Universe. You know, if you're in Entropia Universe and you play the game and you just do hour after hour after hour, your avatar gets stronger, your avatar gets better. And yeah, your wallet gets a lot thinner. But you're going to be an Uber. And on average, I tend to play this game more than a lot of people do. I don't play it as much as others. But that's why after 3 years, I am... 3 years? 4 years. 2017 in December is when I started. So we'll call it 3 years for the sake of argument. That's where I'm at. What? The glitches always make me chuckle. It's why I am where I am. It's why Bonnie is so much further ahead, or, you know, because she streams 3 to 4 times a week, and I do an Entropia video twice a week. And now I do have my live stream, but it's a different strategy. But all of these things just kind of coalesce. And I just found that very, very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. Whoops. There was a random wolf in among them. Did you hit someone's dog, Sarge? That ain't a dog, Lester. That's a zergling. No, that's not a dog. That's a zergling, Lester. Smaller type of zerg. Strange. Little guy like that wouldn't be out here unless... Aw, shit. I love you, Sarge. Yes, that was a StarCraft 1 reference. It's when they realize they're going to die. Sleep near. I wonder if they're going into beer harvesting. Jesus Christ on a pogo stick. They really like to mob. Although, I gotta say, the loot returns on these guys are not bad. Like, I have no complaints about the loot on these guys. I do have complaints that I haven't globaled in a while. In fact, I don't know that I've globaled at all on these guys. I had like a really good mini. I got like 60 ped, but it wasn't a global. So it makes me question what the global rate is on them. Ouch, that hurt. That's okay. Grind that son of a bitch out. Although with the Codex having come to Cyrene, that means I'm going to want to visit Cyrene again. I like Cyrene. But I mean, my visit to Cyrene always happens at around the same time every year, and usually it's right after migration, or if migration's bugged the fuck out like it was a couple of years ago, I just go during migration and say bag it. Which is always a shame, but it does happen. Okay. That was interesting. Pop in and take this guy out. How much ammo do I have left? Oh, 248. 3 ped for 242. That's not terrible. And I've got 50 in shrap, so I mean that's a bonus too. Trying to keep track of, you know, how much ammo do you have left versus how much shrap you have versus all the loot you have. When do you have to do more ammo buy, that shit like that. Really tells when you're making a profit or not. And one of the benefits to being a long-term player is the longer you play and the longer that you do things like buy shares or buy deeds, the more ped you get back and the more offsets you get so that your total outlay is smaller. Because, I mean, yes, I still have to depot a certain amount every month in order to be able to do these videos and keep playing. At some point, what I get in shares and deeds will overtake what I put in. And I'll be able to reduce the amount of money I have to put into this and refocus that elsewhere. Now, of course, other sources of income, my Patreon, will help out too. One of the benefits to being a content creator, but it's just the accounting of this game is one of the most interesting things I've had to deal with. And I might start a series at some point just based on the accounting of Entropia and how to do, you know, how to keep track of things so that you know what your actual layout is, what you're losing or gaining, so that you can better track it. I strongly believe that anyone who plays this game should spreadsheet it so they know what they've put in, because if they ever have the ability to take out, they're going to want it. Because, of course, we all pay taxes. And so that's kind of, I mean, like I said before, money's my thing, so. Okay. we are going to call it here. We had a really good run. Like, holy shit. The varied amount of loot is staggering on this planet. Let me get these ironstones. The oil didn't come from here, of course. I was in the oil field the other day. So let's just see how much shit we picked up. We're going to convert that to ammo. So I get 62 ammo back. 9251. 9251 in just accumulated stuff. And we've been doing this for just under half an hour or so. How much time did we... What's the clock at? 25 minutes. 25 minutes. So 90.51. And then what's the repair bill? 38.45. Which gives us a return of 5206. I'm not going to complain. I mean, yes, you've got decay on the sword and stuff like that, but overall, that's not a bad haul. It's not a bad haul at all. So, okay, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. And as always, I really appreciate the support. We'll see you in the next one.